repurpose it and make it public. But for now, I'm experimenting with this format just to grab the content and make it easily accessible for people. And if you guys are good with doing this at whatever level of consistency, if we need to shift the day or the time, we can always keep this fluid. I love the idea, Ozzy, that you raised, Osvaldo, that you raised, I'm getting it, about sharing some kind of content or around Robin style. So maybe for the last 3 to 5 minutes, we can each take a moment and talk each other through one of the movements that we like to do. But Osvaldo, you have your triangle scale. Are you in a space to do that toward the end of this? No, that's okay. No worries. No worries. Hey, listen. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Hey, you know, just life keeps on lifing, and I just appreciate your presence. Thank you. Be well. Okay, so I'm going to be looking that way and this way. Okay, so today I'm going to be going through the first page of how to use the yoga triangle. And I've got 9 poses in this catalog, and I'm building up to a full catalog of poses. These poses are poses that have been shared through a community of practitioners, of people who do yoga, of people who are runners, massage therapists, chiropractors, and just people, right? So this is not as niche as the branding presents itself. It's actually useful for everyone who has a body. And I'm going to try to keep this fairly brief. If you have any questions about specific utilization, you can visit our website for a direct pose by pose breakdown, or you can reach out. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go over is supported reclining butterfly pose. For supported reclining butterfly pose, you'll need a pair of yoga triangles, and I'm going to start with just explaining what the triangle is. So it's a triangle shaped yoga block. The uniqueness of the design is in its bevels and its points. It also has a landmark at the bottom. The longest flat side of the triangle, the hypotenuse, has the landmark. So when you're using it, or when I'm teaching, or if you're in a class with someone, the landmark is very helpful because it tells you how to set the prop and which direction to point it in. So on the bottom, it says balance. There's your B, there's your E. I'll be using these letters to cue directionally where to place the triangle. So for reclining butterfly, this is a great pose for people that have tight hips. In a traditional variation of reclining butterfly, you would be laying down on your back with your feet together and your knees open. If you have tight hips or any kind of low back discomfort, this can be challenging. But with the triangles, balance down. You can slide them under part of the glute out toward the knees, and the hips and the knees are supported here. So this is a really nice variation for relaxing and restorative reclining butterfly pose. To come out of this pose, just take your time. You can stay in this pose for as long as comfortable. This is a lovely restorative yoga pose. This is a beginner-friendly pose for people that have tight hips. The next variation we'll go over is how to use the yoga triangle for supported downward facing dog. So the triangles are triangle shaped. They were designed to fill in the gaps naturally occurring in the body when practicing or doing movements. So for this variation, with a traditional downward facing dog, a lot of people will experience coming into the pose and not necessarily being able to get their heels to the mat. So sliding the triangles underneath the heels gives you a nice bridge, and it allows to release the hamstrings. It creates stability for students who have that floating heel. It can make them feel much more safe and secure in the variation. And it also gives you the ability to extend more through the hamstrings and the low back. Lots of use in this variation. You can use the yoga triangle variation with down dog to kind of wrap your mind around all of the opportunities and ways that the body might move away from the floor and where a triangle would fit nicely. That's really the entire idea around the design of the product. From there, we'll move on to supported shoulder pose and child's pose. And yes, I'm reading directly from the source material. So your traditional child's pose, you'll come into a tabletop position and sink your bottom back towards your heels and extend the arms out. A lot of people choose to keep the arms engaged. This can be uncomfortable depending upon the size and shape of the body. Every body is unique. There's no wrong or right way to do this. But in this variation, you can put the triangles with the landmark balance face up, and they fit naturally in that space between the ground and the underarms. And this is a really comfortable variation. I greatly enjoy this variation. Shout out to my friend Whitney, who came up with this beautiful variation. What else? This position is very good for, I would say, beginners who are having a hard time relaxing the arms. If you have any tension in the shoulders and neck, this is a really useful position to keep in mind if you are working with students who have tension in the shoulders and neck. This is a lovely variation. And of course, the arms can move out or in as needed, and the triangles can turn out or in as needed. Everyone's bone structure in their upper arms, depending on how they hold their muscle structure, can change over time. The next variation, this is one of my personal favorites, is the round shoulder fix. So you'll take the triangles and you'll put the landmark balance face down. And then in terms of helping the individual find and pinpoint the exact placement for the triangle prop usage, I suggest touching the shoulder bones first. So, finding those prominent bones. And this is what we want to have connected to the triangle. So this is a forward facing position. So coming forward onto your bellies and sliding the triangles underneath the shoulder bones. Now, this is also where there can be some unique utilization, meaning the triangles might need to be turned in slightly or turned out slightly, depending on each individual's body. Arms can extend back. I like to encourage people to relax the elbows. When the elbows go soft, you'll see the blades of the shoulders pop open on the back. And this is actually really great for that forward head and the rounded shoulders that we all may experience at some point in our life from sitting or low back or working at a computer. What should you do with your forehead? Well, really whatever is most comfortable. If putting the forehead straight onto the mat is uncomfortable, you can turn your head from side to side. My personal preference is a lavender eye pillow under the forehead, so it lifts the head slightly off the floor and you get that nice aromatherapy experience, calming experience of lavender. 3 to 5 minutes in this variation if you're working to correct postural. And also this is a myofascial release. So that's a great tool for round shoulders. Moving on from there, we'll jump right into another myofascial release. This is also another one of my personal favorites. I never grow tired of this variation. You need 2 triangles for this. Balance landmark down, point up, second triangle above that, the span of your hand between those 2 triangles. This is a fairly useful unit of measurement. If you reach up the back of your neck, you'll feel from your hairline to your T1. That's the space from the bony edge of your hand to your thumb. From there, you'll turn and face away from the triangle. And you can recline back into a bridge position. The point that we want the triangle to connect to is between the shoulder blades. So you can squeeze the shoulders back like you were trying to pinch a pencil. And that's the point where we want the triangles to connect. You can also find that point by squeezing the shoulders back like you were trying to pinch a pencil, and then relaxing the head back. In this position, you can relax the arms completely. You can bend the knees or extend the legs, whatever is most comfortable. And then this is useful for just laying here. So you can literally just hang out here. This will help correct for rounded shoulders and forward head. If you want to move into a manipulation for our fascial release, you can do a number of movements. So I call this the snow angel. Turn your palm open and glide your arm across the ground and up overhead. You'll feel the triangle get right behind the shoulder blade. Add some breathing here. Inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. In terms of how you should do this, I would encourage one side and then the other. If you're pressed for time, you can do both at the same time. But doing one side and then the other is going to help you really feel the variation from one side to the other. It's also excellent for the brain. So do both sides. Option here to reverse the movement. So this is I call this the backstroke. You can inhale backstroke and exhale snow angel. And the last option for movement, I refer to a halo. So you bring the hands together over the belly, keep the elbows soft. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. And exhale, bring the arms back down. Roll off to your side. Remove the triangles and lay on your upper back flat, and you should feel a lot more of the flesh of your upper back contacting and spreading out across the floor. And that's how you'll feel the opening and the myofascial release that variation offers you. Moving on to the myofascial neck ramp. This is also another one of my favorites. For this variation, you'll bring your pair of triangles together with balance landmark down, touching. For a reference point, you want to feel at the back of your head and find the base of your occipital ridge. And this is the point that we want to connect to the yoga triangles. So you can move into that bridge position and slowly lower yourself down. Make contact with that point and gently turn your head from side to side. If you have tension in the jaw and the neck, if you have headaches, this can be really, really nice for alleviating all of those discomforts. You'll also feel so many of the tiny little muscles across the back of your neck here. Side note, if you have people in class who have neck discomfort, this is a great alternative position for creating some support for the neck. If you like practicing meditation or reclining on your back is challenging for you in meditation, this can also make breathing easier and more comfortable. Another unique way to use the triangle. And for a deeper experience, more sensation, you can reduce down to one triangle. And you can explore that deeper sensation. This is actually, in my experience, this is better for people who have that TMJ, the pulling across the back of the ear. You can get right on that muscle and give it a good roll. And in this way, you can see how the yoga triangle functions as a foam roller. It's pinned behind you, it's not moving anywhere. Definitely more accessible than a round foam roller. And it feels so good. I actually don't want to stop and get up from this, but I will. Okay, so take your time coming up. Oh, this is another really great one. I feel like we're doing myofascial release and restorative variations today. Legs up the wall. Love, love, love legs up the wall. So for legs up the wall, you need a wall, which I don't have. So we're going to pretend like I have a wall. You'll bring your bottom close to the wall, extend the legs, and slide the triangles underneath the tailbone. Now, depending on the tilt of your pelvis, you might want the balance landmark down, or you might be more comfortable with the balance landmark up. You can clearly see the space between the tailbone and the ground is a triangle. It's not a rectangle, so this position works much better for the structure of your body. Keep the knees soft. If you feel any tension or bouncing in the muscles of your legs, allow the legs to float open slightly too. 3 to 5 minutes in this position gives you a full lymphatic drain. It's really good for your immune system. This is absolutely a favorite variation for people who do restorative yoga, or if you have a lot of stress or you have a hard time sleeping, doing this variation a few minutes before you go to bed will help create a real good deep sense of calm and serenity in the body. You can also use this variation to tilt the tailbone for a child's pose on your back or for happy baby. While we're here, and this is something that is not included on the first page, but it will be added to the repository of step-by-step how-to yoga triangle. If you have low back pain or discomfort, this is specifically very good for you. Specifically for you. Laying on the ground in corpse pose with the back extended can be quite uncomfortable. So taking the landmark balance down and sliding the triangles to the space between the hips and the ribs. And I have them almost all the way pushed in, but again, everybody's body is unique. So this is kind of a Goldilocks experience. You need to figure out what chair fits best for you. How hot you like your porridge. You know what I mean. The triangles can be pushed all the way in or slightly out. Another unique design of the product is the angles give you the opportunity to explore the ramp, the angle, the space, the capacity you need to create that stable sensation for your body. In this position, I can actually extend the legs and relax in a corpse pose now, and I'm not experiencing that pulling and that discomfort in my low back. Also a really great variation for people who are learning how to relax in corpse pose. If you see them bending their knees or squeezing their legs or holding a lot of tension, try this variation. Supported triangle with a triangle. Kind of moving up off the ground now into some more of the yang or active poses. A beginner-friendly pose, and for people who have knee problems, dump, Lord, that was tricky, dump into this joint. And dumping is literally just locking out the joint and putting all of your weight down into the joint. So if joint's not engaged, joint's not stabilized, this prop position helps keep the muscles engaged around the joint. Any pose, but we're going to use triangle pose as an example, because, you know, it's a word play. So I'll take a wide stance and move into what would be considered a lunge pose, or the positioning for a triangle variation. For a triangle pose, I want the hips turned out, so this is a hip opening pose. And by placing the ball of the foot on the triangle, I'm able to push the ball of the foot down into the triangle and feel the joint engage. And now I'm not dumping, and I can move into a stable triangle variation where I know the joint is engaged. I can open my legs wider, I can shorten the span, and I have this second triangle to help me stabilize. Again, I'm not dumping, I'm lightly touching to find this point where I feel engagement and I know I'm stable. So, of course, you want to do both sides. Make sure that you do both sides. How can I make this simpler? If you have a student or someone who's dumping, just practicing pushing the ball of the foot into the triangle to feel that joint stabilize is a really powerful moment for them to feel the musculature connect. Same thing here. Engaged, not dumping, just a light point of reference. Because of the size and the gripability of the triangle, this design actually helps you not feel comfortable dumping down into it. You know, it's there, it's just a reference point. Kind of like KT tape or a really loving yoga assist when a teacher comes up and just puts a finger near where you're supposed to be feeling the sensation. Same sort of notion. Last thing we'll go over is the supported lunge. So if I have a client taking a lunge or someone practicing yoga with a kneeling lunge, this can be a lot on the knee. By taking the triangle, balance face up, and sliding the triangle under the knee, I now have a ramp that supports that joint. I can stay engaged in the joint. I'm not grinding the joint into the ground. And this hip opening actually feels pretty good. Same thing on both sides. Okay, so hopefully you found these to be useful. We did a series of breakdowns. There will be more. Thank you for watching. Feel free to let me know if you like this. If you want more information, you can reach out to info@theyogatriangle.com.